All right, finna go to get started. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 97, close to 100, close to 100. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one for sure, right? So, this is going to be being the person that everyone around you needs, right? I feel like this is one of the most important podcasts that I think I've done up to this point. And more specifically, this is kind of how I frame my entire life. So, if you know me in my personal life, this is kind of things that I live by and things that I would recommend for everybody to go ahead and do, especially because people are going to need you in this life for sure. Everybody around you is going to need you in this life. So, with that being said, this is going to be focusing on a lot of different things. And like I said, if there's something that I do miss, that is an element of what the people truly need in one's character, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments for sure. Give me 1 second. All right, all right. So the first thing when you always think about what people truly need, right? The types of character traits that they need, right? You must first look at what they lack because a lot of people are going to lack a lot of different things. Okay, um, I'm sure you guys see this all the time, right? There's going to be a lot of people that lack a lot of different things. So the first thing that I think most people do lack, and this is something that I'm going to say is essential for every single person's character, um, at least people that want to be more than above average, which is catered towards this, the podcast demographic. Everybody watching this should be striving to be above average for sure. And with that being said, you must try to recognize the insufficiencies in what they lack, right? So one thing that they do lack, um, like I said, I'm sure you guys can see this as well, right? They lack leadership and they lack guidance in this life, right? So with that being said, being able to lead people, right? Being a good leader, a good wholesome leader is very very important when it comes to fulfilling the needs and being that person that somebody else needs. Right? There's going to be a lot of people who don't know exactly what they're doing with their life. They're just living life, right? And with that being said, my goal, and this should be your goal watching this as well. This should be being the leader that people need and giving the people guidance when they need guidance. This can you can realistically be a leader or a person who guides people at any age, and you can even guide and lead people that are going to be older than you, depending on your wisdom. And you're going to be able to lead, obviously, people younger than you because of your life experiences and your wisdom and things like that, right? And I should be making a podcast once I hit over 100. I'll be making a podcast on leadership, and I feel like that's very very important for sure. With that being said, like I said, just guidance in general. So one thing that I always ask people is, are you asking the right questions about your life that you want to live, right? Most people, they think that they're just going to get the answers by just living life instead of asking themselves the true questions that they need to have answered. And with that being said, like I said, that's going to be some of the guidance that you're going to need, right? Just giving them some more structure as well, right? People need structure, and if you're able to give them the right guidance, you're able to implement, or you're able to help them implement very much needed, like I said, structure, right? A lot of people lack structure. A lot of people, like I said, are just living life, and just aimlessly, like I said, just trying to do it, just trying to do it instead of like trying to think about specifically how they want to do it. They're just doing it, right? So yeah, like I said, first thing that people are going to need, and this is a character trait that you must have, is going to be leadership and guidance for sure. Another thing that they lack, and this is something that I recognize within most people, right? KJ, appreciate you stopping by, man. This is going to be that they lack leadership and motivation, or not leadership. They lack self discipline and motivation, right? So if you are watching this, right, you know my stance on motivation and self discipline, right? But most people lack both, and I feel like if you're able to be that for somebody else, if you're able to be a person that's going to hold them accountable, right? And be a person that's going to help them instill self discipline into their life, you're going to be a person that is very, very hard to replace in their life for sure. And that is part of being the person that they truly need in their life. And this is something that I would say you should try to strive to do it to as much people as you possibly can, because like I said, most people are lacking self discipline in their life. Um, and also with the motivation as well, right? I feel like you can just be that person for people to help them through certain things that they need to get through. And I would say just giving them that extra juice, that extra encouragement that they need, to push forth with what they're trying to go ahead and accomplish, right? I feel like with that being said, the self discipline thing is going to be very very important as well, like super super important. And the way that you can help somebody implement self discipline is by giving them like I mentioned, right, giving them that structure in a type of way, and also asking them the right questions. Um, and from there, you're going to be able to see what areas of life that they want to go ahead and implement self discipline from. And also with that, like I said, when they're slacking or where they're perceived to be slacking or when they are down, like I said, giving them that motivation to go ahead and try to open their eyes so they can recognize the bigger picture, right? I feel like I said, a lot of people lack that bigger picture mentality. They're so focused and fixated on the current moment that they can't even look at the bigger picture. And I feel like that's something that most people truly lack is that future thinking, right? All right. The next thing that people lack, and this is something that you must be, and this is going to develop over time. Everybody knows this. This is going to be being a person with experiences, right? Who's done things, who's been through certain experiences that not many people have been through, or if you are a little bit of ahead in life when it comes to experiences, then most people, right, you're going to be able to guide them, and you're going to be able to be that person for them. So let's just say they come to you with a problem that they have, right? You're going to be able to give them that life lesson that you learned from that specific experience that they're going through, right? And that's very very important. That's super super valuable. I have people come in my life, and whenever they need something or whenever they need advice or something like that, they come to me because they know that I have not only done the self reflection on a lot of different things, but I've also been through some things that people can relate to. And I feel like that's very very important for sure, to be that person that somebody can say, "Hey, champ, you probably been through a certain situation like this. What would you do in this situation?" Like I said, asking questions regarding that experience is very very important for sure. And like I said, you want to be that person who is obviously experiencing life, right? Having experiences that you can talk on. And like I said, that's going to be very very valuable when it comes to that's going to be very valuable when it comes to just being that person people need, right? Like I said, I can even reference an experience that I recently had just the other day, where a person in my life said, "Hey, champ, I'm going through this. Obviously this is a very very hard time, and like I said, I just need to be heard. Realistically, that's pretty much what he said, right? I just need to be heard, and I want to know kind of the mindsets that I need to have, and the kind of the viewpoint that I need to have in life, or I should have in life in this specific moment, that's going to get me through this certain situation, right?" And I was able to help them. I was able to help them out very very thoroughly, because it's something that I recognize a lot of people go through. So there's going to be things that I look out for, and things that I observe within other people, which I would also say this adds to the experience thing as well, right? So not only can you get information from experiences that you go through yourself, but you can also get plenty of things, or plenty of knowledge from people's experiences as well. And I feel like that is super super underrated, and that's something that I have, um, that a lot of people don't have. I'm a very very good observer. I've always been a very very observant person, and I take into account not only the personal experiences that I have, but I wouldn't say compare them, but I also, like I said, I'm a great observer. I observe other people's life experiences, the things that they went through, the decisions they've made, why they made the decision, why they should have made another decision, right? Um, a lot of people lack experience, and if you're able to, give your own personal experience and tie that into their own situation, that's going to be very very um, important. But also, if you also can do that with other people's experiences and say, "Hey, I met a guy who did this, and he went about it this certain way, and here's where he messed up, and here's what he should have done better," and things like that, right? I feel like if you're able to talk not only out of your own experiences, but out of the experiences of other people, you're going to be much more valuable person. And like I said, somebody's going to need for sure. That is going to be something that I definitely would recommend. Like I said, be an observer of other people's experiences, and you're going to be able to be a more valuable person for those people around you for sure. Especially when it comes to, like I said, certain situations that maybe you haven't went through. Maybe you can also say that as well. Maybe certain situations you haven't went through, but like I said, you are a thorough observer of people and how they went about that experience, so you can kind of give some insight based off of what you observed. And I feel like that's very very important. Also, is super super underrated for sure. All right. With that being said, it kind of ties into what I already mentioned, right? I feel like everybody's going to need an emotional rock, right? Being that person for them. And I would say this is going to be a little bit more easily relatable for people that are for men, right? To be that emotional rock, this is something that you should strive to be, regardless of what happens in your life, right? People are going to need an emotional rock because life is not always rainbows and sunshines, right? There's going to be very, very sad moments and very, very um, depressing moments, if I'm gonna be honest with you, right? That somebody's going to need you, whether like I said, it's somebody that's experiencing the same experience and feeling that you're feeling. They're going to need an emotional rock, and that is something that is absolutely necessary within any certain situation you go through. Somebody needs to be the rock, and if you're able to be that person for other people, it's gonna be you're gonna be living life so much better, in my opinion. Um, because like I said, somebody's gonna need it. Somebody's gonna need it eventually. And if you're able to be that person, if you're able to adopt that role, and this is something that I have done and something that I will continue to do throughout my life, is see where there's certain things that are absolutely needed. And if no one's able to step up to the plate, I want to be the first person to adopt that type of role because, like I said, I know it's absolutely necessary. So that is something that I will strive to do in certain situations of distress when it comes to my family or my loved ones, right? Um, let's just say they go through something and I need to be that emotional rock for them. I will be able to be that person, or at least I will try to have that conscious thought of trying to be that person. Because, like I said, they're going to absolutely need that for sure. All right, it's good when the other person trusts you to help them with their things in life because it shows that they respect you and they have trust in you to help. Yeah, exactly. He's exactly right. Yep. You're exactly right. Also, if you're in here, whether you're on Twitch or on YouTube, I want you to go ahead and leave a comment just so I can see who's in here. Also, if there's any specific things that I haven't mentioned when it comes to um, people needing a certain type of person or a certain type of person have some type of character traits, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments for sure because I'm not going to be able to mention everything, right? All right, give me 1 second. All right, another thing that's very, very important. This is something that I have definitely been and something that I will continue to be for the rest of my life, whether people love it or hate it. This is going to be being a person who's going to talk to somebody and not say exactly what they want to hear, but what they need to hear, right? Everybody needs this type of person in their life, right? Be that person for other people, but do it in a way that is very, very careful because you can easily come off like an asshole, right? So you need to position yourself in the conversation for them to ask for your opinion, and if they ask for your opinion, it's going to go a lot more smooth. The interaction is going to go a lot more smoothly than it would if you're just giving your input, right? But yeah, I would say that I'm definitely that for some people in my life, right? Where I will let you know exactly the way it is. I will keep it 1000% honest because I know there's certain things that people need to hear. Maybe they don't want to hear it. Maybe it feels uncomfortable. Maybe no one else will tell them, but I certainly will because they need to hear that for sure. So, um, yeah, like I said, be that person for somebody else. Be that person where, if everybody's telling them something great about their life, let them know that, hey, you can come down to earth for a second and say, hey, maybe no one will also will tell you this certain thing, but I will definitely tell you because you need to hear it, right? And it's only going to help you out. And this is coming. And another thing, when you be this person in somebody's life, you need to have that clear. You and that person need to have that clear understanding that you want the best for their life. You have the best intentions in mind for them, right? And I feel like a lot of people they don't necessarily make that very, very clear, and that's where feelings get hurt truly. So yeah, make sure you definitely have that thorough communication that's saying, hey, before I tell you anything, I have the best intentions for you and your life, right? I'm only gonna give you advice, and I'm only gonna steer you in the right direction that I see fit. And with that being said, this is something that you might not want to hear, but it needs to be told to you. So I'm gonna let you know, right? And if you have that clear understanding, it's gonna be a lot more easier to have that interaction because you kind of brace them in a way, and I feel like that's definitely very, very important when it comes to those certain situations for sure. So like I said, if there's another character trait or a type of person that you need to be for the people around you, make sure you go and leave in the comments for sure. Like I said, this podcast, I'm gonna give you the game. Most of the game I'm gonna give you, um, in general, is going to be advice that would be catered kind of towards this podcast. But I definitely wanted to make a podcast on this for sure, in specific. But yeah, most of the things I'm going to talk about are going to be building a character that most people are going to need in this life. I won't say most people, all people are going to need in this life, right? The advice that I'm going to give you is going to be not only beneficial to you, but it's going to be more importantly beneficial to the ones around you for sure. Which, like I said, if you care for the ones around you, then you should definitely care for some of the game that I'm going to be spitting for sure. All right, give me a second. What is the difference between others taking advantage of you, of your help, rather you helping them for a good reason? That's an interesting question. That's a good question. Um, Obviously, and I talked to you about this earlier, man. I do believe in equal value exchanges. If you do not feel like you're having an equal value exchange, and you're okay with that, that's okay, right? But if you're not okay with that, then you might have to either remove yourself from the situation. A lot of people, being these certain types of character traits that I'm mentioning on today's podcast, right? There can be a point where you are getting used, right? And I feel like that's something that I probably should have mentioned as well, right? I'm gonna try to make you, or I'm gonna try to give you the game so you can be super valuable in other people's lives, right? Which is very, very important. But you also want to recognize when you are getting abused, like when they're taking advantage of the things that the good person that you are, or the person that you've built, right? You must have a thorough understanding of if you feel the slightest inclination that you're getting taken advantage of. Absolutely, you probably are, right? Um, yeah, yeah. I would say understand when you feel like you're extending your arms a little too far. Like I said, if it's not an equal value exchange, then you're going to very, very clearly understand that you're being taken advantage of. Like I said, if it's not, if the energy is not being reciprocated, then for sure, um, then yeah, I would say that is going to be under the assumption that you are getting taken advantage of. But if you're doing something good for another person out of the goodness of your heart, then that really shouldn't matter. But like I said, if you're looking for equal value exchange, which most people I would say are looking for an equal value exchange within most of their interactions, right? And that's reasonable because a mutually beneficial relationship is better for everybody. And I would say it's just as simple as that. All right. So yeah, that's how I would answer that question. Hopefully you got what you needed out of that answer for sure. Give me one second. All right, another thing that people need, absolutely need when it comes to their life and the life that they're trying to build is they're going to need an example of what to be, right? This kind of goes hand in hand with leadership. But yeah, be an example of what to be. And more specifically, also be very, very clear of what an example of what not to be looks like and make sure you go ahead and avoid that at all costs because there's going to be plenty of temptation. There's going to be plenty of distractions that exist within this life that are going to try to intentionally steer you wrong. And you must understand when there's certain moments like that, that you need to go ahead and, like I said, just do what you know you need to do. Very, very important. It's something that I reiterate on this podcast many, many times. But yeah, most definitely be example of what to be because that's how you're going to be able to have people ask you for advice. Is if you are acting in accordance to where you need to act, to what you need to act. Um, but like I said, to be that person that you need to be, right? If you're able to do that for somebody, if you're able to do that for yourself, then you're going to be able to do that for other people. Like I said, be an example of what to be is very, very important because it gives inspiration, it gives motivation to those people as well. Um, Whether verbally or non-verbally, you're going to give them that motivation. You're going to give them the inspiration, saying, "Hey, I feel like slacking off today, but I know for damn sure Champ's not slacking off. So, and I want to be better for myself and the ones around me. So I need to go ahead and do that. And if you look at it like that, then I feel like it's gonna give you something for sure. Like I said, if you feel like slacking off, or yeah, if you feel like slacking off, like I mentioned, right, try to seek inspiration to other people. That is something that I would recommend for sure. And that is being an example of what to be, right? And then more specifically of recognizing when the moments where you are not trying to be the best example, right? And saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that, or maybe I should make that decision, or maybe I shouldn't have that habit because I know for damn sure that is an example of what not to be. And if I want to steer my people in the right direction, then I must remove that habit, behavior, whatever it is, right? So yeah, I would say being very, very clear of that and living your life like people are watching you, right? Even if they're not watching you, right? That's kind of the way I look at it, right? That's something that I kind of had to adopt, but something that I never actually thought of. Yeah, I'm living my life like other people are watching me because people are watching me, right? So yeah, if you don't exactly have that same experience like I do personally, like I said, just try to live life exactly like that, because that's definitely going to help you make the right decisions that you need to make, and also get rid of the certain decisions and inclinations that you will have that will try to steer you off your path for sure. And that's gonna hold you accountable. That's gonna definitely gonna hold you accountable in certain situations as well. Like I said, where you it's gonna be the difference between you choosing a certain habit or not choosing a certain habit, or the trajectory of how your day goes. It's gonna be very, very important for sure. So, all right, give me 1 second. All right, this is gonna be something similar that I mentioned earlier, but something that everybody's going to need is somebody who supports them, right? Who's going to be there for the best version of themselves, and more importantly, going to encourage them to go ahead and keep going, right? I'm fortunate enough to have plenty of people in my life that can fulfill this role for me, so therefore I try to go ahead and fulfill that role for them, and I try to do it very, very well. With that being said, be a person that people can feel that. Okay, be a person that people feel that you're supporting them. If that makes any sense, I don't know if I described that correctly, but yeah, people want to feel supported. If you want to feel supported, you need to be that for somebody else. You need to go ahead and show support for people that truly mean something to you. And also, do not show fake support, because fake support is not appreciated, right? And that's something that I recognized when I started doing this podcast, right? I had a lot of people tell me, "Hey, champ, man, when you make the podcast, man, I'm gonna be watching, man, this and this and this." And then it turns out I made the podcast almost 100 episodes deep, and they haven't even tuned in one podcast. So it's like, understand that thoroughly. Where don't be a fake supporter of somebody. If you're gonna support somebody wholly, always support them as much as you possibly can. But don't show fake support, because fake support is never appreciated for sure. And that's something that I recognize very, very thoroughly when I started making this. Is Yeah, I had a lot of people say that they were gonna support me. I had a lot of people um, that truly that gave me their word and saying, "Hey, when you start this, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there for you." And it's bullshit. A lot of it's bullshit. It sucks to say that truly. But you must learn from those people's mistakes and say, "Hey, um, they said that they were gonna do something, they didn't do it. I'm not gonna be like that for sure." And if I see somebody that I love, that is close to me, that is in my inner circle, and they want to go ahead and start something, if they want to pursue something, they're going to have my support, and I'm gonna constantly encourage them to keep going. Right? Everybody wants this. Everybody wants this, and you must definitely be that for somebody else. And this can be for many people, or this can be just for one person, right? If that one person truly needs it, then you need to be that for that person for sure. Give me 1 second. If you break bread, then you fake. Exactly. This means the fake supporters will never ride with the real ones, and the real ones stay no matter what happens. Exactly. And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, man. Like I said, I see a lot of people who are fake supporting, man. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, I see you doing your podcast, man. Do you watch? If you don't watch, I don't want to hear you, man. I don't want to hear you. Um, and it's as simple as that, man. A lot of people are showing fake love. Don't show fake love out here, man. It's not worth your time, attention, energy. Don't act like it, man. Don't act like it, man. But yeah, people are gonna need support. People are always gonna need people to encourage them to keep going. Be this for somebody else, most definitely. All right, yeah, it was like this kind of goes hand in hand with that, but people are going to need reassurance in this life, right? And you're going to be able to do reassurance a lot of different ways. But with that being said, let's just say, for example, they make a decision for their life. People need people around them to reassure them that that is the right decision that they made for their life. A lot of people don't recognize, or a lot of people second guess themselves in the decisions that they make for their own life, and you need to have people that are going to constantly reassure you that you are making the right choice for your life, right? Because like I said, you're going to second guess yourself at times, and you're never going to know if the decision is best for you. But if the people around you say, "Hey champ, you did the right thing, and you made the right move," it's going to be a lot more reassuring. Everybody needs reassurance in this life in their own specific way. But like I said, figure out specifically how you can reassure the people around you, and how you specifically need it in yourself, right? And you're going to be much better off for sure. What does it mean to support someone? It means being there when it's raining outside. It means when things are not going the greatest for that person, you're still right there supporting them, right? Supporting them at their highs, supporting them at their lows, most importantly, right? You see a lot of people, not supporting me right now, but when I get bigger, there's going to be a lot of people coming out of the woodworks saying, "Hey, champ, I want to support you, man. I've always been watching, man. and I'm gonna be like, you're bullshitting me because I know you didn't, right? That's somebody who really supports you. Is the people who even at your lowest moments are going to be there for you. And like I said, those people you must value very very much because those people are not always going to be. I wouldn't say those people are not always going to be around. Those people are always going to be around. Um, but like I said, it's just something that I would say is going to be what defines someone who's a supporter of you and someone who's not. Should we reassure someone's poor choices? No, of course not. You want to steer them in the right direction. Um, if you recognize somebody's if you recognize somebody's poor decisions that they made for their own life, definitely do not reassure them that is the right decision that they made for their life, right? Be honest with them, right? And that is something that I mentioned earlier in this podcast is you need to be that person for people who are going to tell them exactly how it is, right? Even if they don't want to hear it, or even if even if they don't want to hear it, and it still needs to be said, and you feel like they can truly take something from that and benefit from their life, then yeah, most definitely you need to be that person for other people as well. But also, like I had mentioned earlier in the podcast, you need to do it a specific way and cater your message that they truly understand that you have the best intentions in mind for them, and you're only going to try to steer them in the right direction. Yeah, I would definitely, if somebody came up to me and said, if one of my friends came up to me and said, "Hey, I had this idea, and I truly didn't think it was a good idea," I'm going to be honest with them and say, "Hey, man, you can have a better idea than that, man. I believe in you." But yeah, people are going to need that truth, that honest, hard truth. People are going to need it, and you're going to need to be able to be that person for them that's going to give that to them because you don't want to be lying, and that's showing fake support, and that's showing fake support in general. To be honest with you. For example, I'm fat. Should should friends support me and pretend I'm not fat? No, most definitely not. If you're okay, if you're overweight, and this is something that I talk about on the podcast all the time, right? If you're overweight, the people around you should, if you have the right people around you, they should be making you feel somewhat uncomfortable with you making that decision for your life because we can both agree that that's probably not the best decision you can make for the longevity of your life, for the health of your life, for the quality of your life. With that being said, if you will have fake people around you saying, "Hey," basically not holding you accountable to your actions. If they're letting you eat that extra food, do they truly have the best intentions in mind for your life? I would say you probably, and I'm not going to say every friend that you have is a fake friend, but if they truly want the best for your life, they should be steering you in the right direction. So, what this would look like to me is, "Hey, my man, you know what, man? Like, we should get in the gym together, right? Like, we should try to have more of a healthy lifestyle. We should start eating better, right? They should be encouraging you in ways instead of just saying, 'Hey, you're fat, don't do that,' right? They should be trying to encourage you in certain ways, um, without having to put you in that uncomfortable situation or have that super harsh reality of life, right? They should be able to support you in those certain types of ways, and that's how you know you have somebody who's truly going to support you. Is if in those certain situations they're going to try to help you make better life decisions and more healthy life decisions for your own life, for sure. To pretend that I'm healthy, no, that's not taking accountability for your life. One thing that I mentioned on this podcast time and time again is you must take full responsibility and full accountability for your life and the decisions that you've made for your life. And if I see that in the people around me, they're not taking responsibility and accountability for their own life. It's just going to be hard to have the interaction for them. Um, I'm gonna read your comment. But isn't it better for my emotional health to pretend that I'm healthy at any weight and it's not my fault? No, you must take full accountability and responsibility for your life. Um, don't lie to yourself, right? You even mentioned that comment. You can kind of tell that you're lying to yourself. And for your emotional health, for your mental health, you must make the most healthy decisions for your life. The perfect example is going to the gym. This is going to be a thing that's going to help you in many different ways, way more than just the physical. It's going to help you with your mental, it's going to help you with your emotional state, and I feel like a lot of people do not, for whatever reason, they never make that decision for their lives. They're anxious, they're depressed, they have poor self-confidence. They never make the decision to go to the gym. The gym physically helps your body, and it also gives you the endorphins and all the chemicals that make you feel good about yourself. More importantly, so you get the physical representation, you get the mental aspects, the mental benefits of working out. And like I said, that's something I'm always going to recommend. I'm always going to recommend the most healthy lifestyle on this podcast because that is what I choose for my life, and that is something that I would recommend for other people. I'm not going to steer them wrong. I'm going to let you know exactly how it is, whether you would like to hear it or not. That is what you need, so that is what I'll give you. And it's as simple as that. All right, like I said, you need people like this in your life, right? This is specifically why I made this podcast. This specific one, episode number 97, is because people need it, man. People need it. All right. With that being said, let me get into my next point. Yeah, this is kind of referring to something that I mentioned, but um, this can pertain to a lot of different situations, right? You're going to need people around you that is gonna they're okay. You're going to need people that are going to push you even when you don't feel like doing it. When your mind tells you you're done, when your body's trying to tell you you're done, you need those people to say, hey, you can keep going, right? There's more to you than that, right? And I see this more applicable to the gym than anything, right? Working out by yourself and working out with a person, completely different experience. I would definitely recommend people to work out with people around them, right? People that they love, people that they can take what they're saying and do something with it for sure. So for example, right? Let's just say I'm in the gym, I'm working out with my best friend Anthony, right? Or KJ. Shout out to KJ, right? I worked out with him today. Or yeah, he helped me. So he was able to give me that extra motivation, even though I didn't feel like doing it, right? I had that mental resistance, or even that physical resistance to say, hey, I'm done. And if I was by myself, I might have quit, right? But you need to have those people in your life that are going to tell you, hey, keep going. There's more to you than that. There's a different level that you can push to, and you must push to that level, right? If you have those people around you that are going to push you, even when you don't feel like you can do it, but in reality you can do it, right? If you have those people that are very very strong in your life that are going to tell you, hey, you can keep doing this, right? And you truly believe them, right? You truly trust their word. You're going to be able to show yourself. You're going to be able to see a side of yourself that you've never seen before. Most definitely, for sure. Sometimes people confront me with the facts that conflict with my opinions. Should I ignore those facts and persist with my own opinion even though I'm wrong? You're admitting your opinion is wrong. So with that being said, what are your if you're more than comfortable with doing this, what are your opinions, right? What are your opinions that you see, right? Or that you perceive are wrong, right? Don't ignore the facts. Don't ignore the facts. Because like I said, a lot of people don't like to take that very very hard stern look with themselves, right? They like to just try to run away from resistance, right? You must run towards those situations because those situations are going to give you and they're going to give you the most benefit for your life. And if you want to live the best life you possibly can, which everybody watching this podcast, that's why I make this podcast, for people who truly want to live the best version of their life that they possibly can. Um, you must put aside the opinions. You must look at the facts. And I'm not saying disregard every opinion you have and look at the facts. I'm saying there's going to be certain situations where you must do what you got to do, right? Whatever that is. If it feels uncomfortable, it might be the right decision. That's that takeover badge for takeover 23. Exactly, man. You already know what time it is, man. You already know what time it is, man. All right. Another thing I want to mention as well, right? With being a person that everybody needs in their life, this is going to be people who are reliable, right? A lot of people do not have reliable people in their life, and that is one of the saddest things that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's so sad. I could speak from my own experience, right? I'm thankful enough to have people in my life who are reliable, right? If you're a person that does not have reliable people in your life, this is something that I would definitely recommend for you to seek out, whether this is through family members, becoming closer with your family, or finding friends, right? People in your social circle, or like I said, if you need to extend out, then that's something you must do. But try to find as many people that are reliable, and more importantly, the only way you're going to have reliable people in your life is if you are indeed reliable yourself. Never have an expectation on somebody that you couldn't fulfill for your own self and for them. So, with that being said, be a person who is reliable, right? Be a person who's also going to say who's going to say something and do exactly what they say, right? That reliability and that being a person of your word is definitely very very important. And I stress this thoroughly on the podcast every single time. Um, yeah, you must be a person of your word, and yeah, that's the way I would describe it. Give me 1 second. Hold up, man. Can I see your comment on here? I think I can. All right, awesome. Yeah, so my bad. I wasn't looking at Twitch, man. I'm gonna try to look at Twitch a little bit more. All right, give me 1 second. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, right? Be reliable. People love people who are reliable in their life. So you must be this for other people. That's the only way that you can expect it in return. Yeah, I think it's just as simple as that. I really don't have too much to say on that besides be reliable, right? That's exactly being the person that people need. Why are you so into achieving and improving? Isn't it hard? Yes, it's most definitely hard, right? Everything that's worth having in this life is going to be hard, right? That's reality of life. Um, I've cultivated this mindset for the last few years, right? Ever since I was 17, I wanted something better for my life. I seen other people having and enjoying the life that I would like to live. So therefore, I said I must take the steps necessary in the form of the evolution of myself in order to get to that point, right? And like I said, not only do I want to do this for myself, but I also want to do that for the people around me, and also want to help people achieve that for their own life and for the people around them. Um, yeah, I would say that's pretty much why I'm so focused on achieving and improving. Yeah, it's definitely hard. It's definitely hard, but like I said, everything worth having in this life is going to be on the opposite side of hard, right? That's just how it is, right? That's just how it is. Sucks, but that's life, man. You just gotta accept it, move on, and yeah, it's as simple as that. Who are three people or celebrities who have inspired you the most? Ah, man. I'm gonna give you three. I'm gonna give you three that are on my inspire poster right there. I'm gonna give you three, even though there's gonna be a certain individual that people don't want to hear, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. All right, three people that inspired me most. I would say Big Sean. If you know me, you know I love me some Big Sean. He's my favorite artist. The reason why I love his music most importantly is because he has undefeated mindsets. He has even though they might be rational or unrealistic mindsets at sometimes, right? Like thinking you're the best, right? That's the only way you can be the best is if you truly believe you are the best, right? And I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm saying there's certain mindsets that would lead you to, or certain mindsets within his music that would lead him to a better outcome in life just by believing that certain thing. I love his music because of that. He's a person who inspires me because he pushes past the resistance, and he's a person who strives to do things that are hard. So definitely a person worth being inspired by, and somebody. If you don't like rap, then it's going to be hard to listen to his music. But he's a person that has those mindsets for sure. I'll give you another person. Another person that inspires me is I'll say shout out to Kobe. I'll say Kobe Bryant, right? Rest in peace. 3 years to this day, right? But yeah, Kobe is definitely a person who inspires me as well. He's somebody who has common interests, and yeah, I would say that is going to be a person that right there. Kobe's done so much. He's a person who strives for excellence in every endeavor in life, and a person who was a fantastic father, and that is something that I strive to be. Those are gonna be two of the people that I would say I'm inspired by because I would like to live a life that is similar to theirs, or take certain character traits or life decisions that they've made with their life that has been very beneficial and apply that to my own life. Another person I would say is going to be, for the sake of it, I'll say, let me give you another person. I'll give you a person, Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a person who I strive to be like, right? If you don't know who Jordan Peterson is, he's somebody that I would definitely recommend for you to go ahead and consume some of his content because he's a person who is very, very articulate in his speech, and a person that I seen early in November last year or later in November last year. But yeah, he's definitely going to be a person that inspires me as well because he's able to, like I said, say the things that people don't want to hear but need to hear, right? And I take true inspiration from that. And another person who recognizes the difficulties of life, but the absolute necessary decisions that you must make, regardless of how hard it is or the amount of uncomfort that it can bring. You must still do what you got to do. That is part of being a man, is doing the things you need to do, even if you don't feel like doing it. Most important, for sure. I would say, okay, he said Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan Peterson, as well as me. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a solid list right there. Solid list, KJ, for sure. But yeah, you need to find, if you don't have anybody that you're truly inspired by, then you need to do more research on people, right? You tap into that. That's something that I've tapped into, and it definitely helped me out tremendously, right? If I didn't have those influences in my life, but isn't being a man toxic? No, definitely not. Definitely not. Being a man is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary in this life. Absolutely necessary. Um, if you have that belief or that inclination to believe that Society has absolutely brainwashed you. This is something that I reiterate on this podcast plenty and plenty of times, right? One of the most recent podcasts I talked about similar to this topic is going to be tapping into your divine masculine, what that looks like, right? The character traits and the things that you must adopt in this life, right? No, being a man is not toxic. Being a man is absolutely necessary, right? If we didn't have men being men, society would be absolutely ruined in a matter of like 3 seconds, right? And it's as simple as that, right? It's not toxic. No, I would disagree. Um, People need men. Men make the city alive, man. Like I said, if you took away the men being men, like the world would be destroyed in like 3 seconds, man. I'm telling you that right now. It's definitely not toxic. Is there men that are toxic? 100%, right? Most men are most. I would say most men are not toxic though. I would love to believe that. Um, but yeah, being a man is absolutely necessary. It's not toxic. There is toxic masculinity that does exist, but there also is toxic femininity that exists, which no one wants to talk about. Um, but I would say toxic masculinity, if I could describe it real quick, without getting too off topic, is basically abusing some of the like, okay, for example, right? Let's just say somebody who likes to inflict violence when violence isn't needed to resolve a problem. That is going to be a form of a toxic masculinity. I do believe that there's certain situations like that that I would deem to be toxic masculinity. Most is not. Being masculine and being a man is the foundation of society, right? And people don't like when I say that, but quite frankly, I don't care because that is what it is. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it, man. I saw a documentary recently on Justice Clarence and Justice Clarence Thomas, and it was very inspiring. I didn't know how much about or that much about him, but he seemed amazing. Created equal. Oh, that sounds pretty good. That's definitely something I'll probably check out for sure. I'm glad you found some inspiration from that. That's great, man. That's great. Give me 1 second. Back onto the podcast topics, fellas. All right, I only got a few more. Like I said, if there's something that I'm missing, a certain character trait or a certain type of person that you need to be in order for the people around you to live the best life that they possibly can, make sure and leave in the comments for sure. So, with becoming a person that everyone needs, this is going to be someone whose presence cannot be replaced, right? This is something that I strive to be every single day. Is be a person that people cannot replace easily. Now, this is vague. That's super vague, but using all the things that I mentioned earlier in the podcast is definitely going to give you a very, very good representation of what it would look like to be a person who's hard to replace, right? Being there for certain people in certain ways that, like I said, most people are not. That's going to be very, very hard to replace. Saying things that people are not willing to say but need to hear. That is something that's hard to replace. Being a person who's going to be a person who inspires and motivates somebody. That's hard to replace. Because not many people are like that. Basically, be the things that most people are not like, but most people would like to have in this life. And you're going to be people who you're going to become a person who's going to be hard to replace in this life, right? Yeah. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Yeah. This is kind of what I mentioned. This is the last thing I mentioned, right? And I'm reiterating some points as well, but something that I literally just mentioned, right? Be a person who's going to do the things even when they don't feel like doing it, so people can find inspiration in your actions, right? You must remind yourself that even in the moments where you don't feel like doing it, you must still do it because there's people around you who can be inspired by that, or there's people around you who need to see an example of that to recognize that it can exist, right? Be that person. Be that person so somebody else can recognize it and be that person for somebody else, right? That's something that I'm going to recommend for sure. Um, you need to understand what this podcast more importantly is your impact that you have can impact somebody, and then that person's impact can impact somebody else, right? So recognize that life in society is going to be based off of that as well. It is this butterfly effect, right? The better person you are for somebody else is the better person they can be for somebody else as well, right? And so on and so forth, right? So this entire podcast is basically based off of that, right? Become a person everyone around you needs, right? Society would be better, life would be better, everyone would be happier, and it is just as simple as that. It is simple as that, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the podcast here in a minute. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Like I said, if you're new, make sure you go ahead and leave me a follow. Um, Also, one thing I want to mention, which I didn't mention earlier on in the podcast, make sure you go ahead and watch my YouTube shorts as well as my TikTok, the Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok. If you can't catch a full podcast, but you still want to get the game, I'm going to be on there as well. Other than that, what else do I have to say? Also, I'm releasing videos that are going to be 5 to 12 minutes long. So, like I said, if you can't catch a podcast live, but you still want to watch the podcast, and you don't want to watch it in short form of 60 seconds or a minute and a half or something like that, tap into those videos as well. Those are going to be very, very important as well, for sure. With that being said, fellas, I'll leave you guys off on with the motto, man. Like I said, appreciate y'all for stopping by. Like I said, if you're new, leave a follow. Also, if you're watching this, let me know for sure some of your favorite points that I made on today's podcast. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and leave you guys off with this right here. The podcast motto. Fellas out here, we don't just work, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day. Simple as that. Whatever that looks like to you, however that applies to your certain situation, do what you got to do, man. Strive for better. There's always going to be room for improvements, so seek improvement, because if you do not, then what are you living for? Yeah, simple as that, man. Other than that, I appreciate everyone stopping by. Y'all have a good rest of your night, and the next podcast is going to be on Tuesday of next week. Also, I'll be doing a live stream here probably on this weekend. I'm going to be doing a live stream this weekend, so if you're interested in, seeing something that's not as structured and kind of seeing me be loose and listening to music and just chopping it up with the people, make sure you go ahead and tap in with that for sure. Other than that, like I said, stay tuned for the podcast on Tuesday, episode number 98. We're getting close to the 100th podcast, fellas. One thing I want to reiterate as well. If you're watching this right now, you're watching the most underrated podcast that exists in this entire world right now. It is as simple as that. I'm giving the people game, and my efforts will be recognized here soon. You guys have a good rest of your nights, and like I said, tap in Tuesday. I appreciate y'all.